Hello, today we are talking to the artist, illustrator, and writer B. Hope, as well as musician. How are you doing today, B?
I'm good. How about yourself, Una?
Good. So can you tell us a little bit about your work?
Which part?
Okay, your Amazon books. I know you did a children's book. It was a bestseller there on Amazon, High Tide, By Tide. Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind that book and your medium of art?
Sure. For High Tide, By Tide, that was I lived in Maine for a couple of months, and I really liked it there. And I loved watching the tides come in and out and all the different creatures that would get left behind and that sort of thing. And I wanted to make it so that kids could see that even if they weren't near the ocean. And I love working with watercolor, color pencil, pen, ink, that sort of thing. Pretty much anything. Just kind of depends. But for that book was mostly watercolor and pencil. And
We're just having a little technical glitch. There we go. Let's try that now. Okay.
that should work. You good?
Yes, we're good.
Okay, cool. And so that book was mostly watercolor and pencil.
Yeah.
It was from all my favorite places from while I lived in Maine there. It was from like around Islesboro, Blue Hill, Maine, the just different islands that were around there. That was my inspiration for that book.
And like what age group is it geared towards?
Mostly really small kids, but kids any age pretty much. I like reading it and I'm an adult. So.
And then also, I know you have some journals available. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And also your photo book, Spring by the Sea and Meandering Through Maine.
Sure. I'm also a photographer, mostly smartphone photography because it's just so versatile. And you can do it anywhere, anytime. So easy to do, and you can edit it right there, and the results are just right in front of you. It's instant gratification. And so I love taking photographs, and when I was in Maine, I took a lot of photographs. And so I thought, why not put them in a book so other people can enjoy that? And so I put them into some books, made some photo books. They're available on Amazon, and I also made some journals for people. So basically, the journals are just blank line journals, and the front has some pictures that are taken of different things in Maine. I love photographing Maine because it's so unique. Because you have all of these trees, all of this forest, and then just right up to just like this demarcation line, you have the ocean with these rock beaches, sand beaches, and I love the contrast. It's so unexpected.
Yes, okay. And like, what is your newest work you're working on? I understand you're branching out into manga now.
Yeah, right now I've just started working on my first manga book, and it's kind of a combination of fairy tales from around the world and set in a kind of modern dystopian setting. And yeah, that one's really fun. It's kind of fun to try doing manga art. It's definitely a different medium. I really enjoy it though. It's a lot more sharp, a lot more angled, a lot of different types of settings and characters. It's very versatile. I enjoy it.
And then you and I are together working on a mini manga book series. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, as you and I know, but probably our viewers don't, you have written a fantastic series called Ms. Holmes. And I have to say, of all your books, it's my favorite so far. All of the Ms. Holmes books are my favorite. And so Anna and I were talking, and we decided we were going to turn it into a kind of cross between manga and a very simple graphic novel, just to kind of try it out, see how it goes. Because I'd seen the style before, and I just fell in love with it. And so we decided to kind of do our own thing. And so we're turning those books into a very simplified manga, which is really fun.
Yes, and that's coming out here in the next couple of months. So that'll be interesting to see as it develops.
That'll be really fun.
And then can you explain to us a little bit about your kinetic art?
Yeah, so I like doing this thing called kinetic art, which for different people can mean different things. But for me, what I like to do is I love scavenging and I love taking walks. So I go out for walks and I just collect things people throw away or that get car wrecks are my favorite thing to find because there's so many cool bolts and things. And so I have ruined a good many backpacks because I love taking home rusty objects and putting them together, and then I like to make sculptures out of them, usually like they resemble dragons and etc. And then they have moving pieces. When you touch them, they move. So it's kinetic art, and I like to combine it with my watercolor and my other forms of art. I also really enjoy paper cutting and that sort of thing. So I combine it just kind of is a very fluid art form for me. I rarely start a project knowing how it's going to end. It just kind of evolves as I work on it. And sometimes it starts with a painting I've done, and then I build around it with the parts I find. And sometimes I start with the parts, and then I add in watercolor and etc. It's just kind of, it's a very unique outlet for me. I really enjoy doing that. And it's unexpected because people don't normally expect to see paintings mixed with auto parts that are rusting, and then you touch it and it moves. So it's really fun. I enjoy it.
Yes, and we'll be featuring some images of your artwork at the end of this on the page with it. So people can get in touch with you and talk to you about your art. To me, it's kind of like a standalone, the same feeling you get from a really elaborate pop-up book.
Yeah, it's basically
kind of what you get with this, except it's not just paper, it's metal and wood and plastic and paper, and all sorts of things. It's amazing what she can do with the art. So yeah, and then can you tell us a little bit about your music? I'm including a link to the YouTube channel we both host, the Hand Network, but you do opera, and then you're going to mix that with K-pop and modern pop as well as rock. And can you tell us a little bit about that medium?
Yeah, sure. Well, I've always loved music ever since I was tiny. I was always writing songs and scribbling them down, and very disappointed when people couldn't read my writing when I was 3, mostly because it wasn't writing.
Yes.
But I've always loved music, and I've loved dancing ever since I can remember. And I never really considered pursuing that as a career until a couple of years ago. I got my first opera from the library, and it was Smiramide. And I had always had this soft spot for opera because when I was little, I lived in a really small town with this tiny little library, and they had these books that were supremely old. They were like 100 years old, and they shoved them all into this corner, and I put all these boxes around it. And I loved climbing around stuff, so I'd wriggle my way through the boxes, and then I would go and I would find these old books, and I would just go through them. And there was this one book called, I can't remember the exact title, but it was basically the opera stories tell. Or the stories operas tell. Sorry.
I think it's available on Google because I remember looking it up, and it's I think operas every child should know.
Yeah, I think
that's it free through like a Gutenberg Press deal, so they have it available online.
That's right. Yeah, but I just fell in love with the stories of the opera, which is kind of an unusual thing because most people just love opera for the music, but I didn't have access to that because it was a very small town, and people would not listen to opera where I lived.
No, I don't think so.
No, I think that they probably would have shot them before they had a chance to finish.
Probably, yeah.
And nothing in small towns. It's just a small town where I was. Yeah, that's what would have happened. But so I just grew up falling in love with these elaborate stories that are so dramatic and so intricate and so complicated. And then when about 4 years ago, I got my first opera from the library. It was a 1983 Semiramide from the Metropolitan Opera, and I was absolutely horrified. It was so strange. It was so bad. It was like I didn't know what was going on because I loved the music, but the characters, it was very confusing because there was this very shapely woman that we were supposed to believe was a strapping young man, and it was just very bizarre. And then his love interest is this very older woman, and it just didn't make any sense at all from a visual point.
Your standpoint, yes, yep.
Yeah, I don't
mean for our audience. This was typical of the Met during the 80s. They'd often cast.
It was the ages were totally mismatched, and the genders were totally mismatched, and not in a cool gender bender type of way, as in we're going to draw a mustache on this woman and we're going to pretend it's a guy, and it doesn't work. I grew up watching BBC drama, and I'm expecting that level of expertise here, And so I was just like, okay, I am just done with this. I'm just going to listen to my Andre Bocelli CDs and envision what opera should be. I am done with watching visual opera. And then someone checked me out another opera called Louisa Miller because they thought I loved opera and I loved the idea of opera, but I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this so they're not offended. And that was Louisa Miller by Verdi. And I fell completely in love. And I haven't been able to stop watching opera since. That one was just, it was incredible. The casting was great. There were actually people playing people that were the right gender and the right age group. And the clothes were magnificent. And I just fell completely in love. And Verdi owns my heart. And Puccini, I'm having an affair with Puccini. He's amazing as well. But, I just completely fell in love with opera, and so I started training myself a little bit in that, and I love listening to Italian opera. I also really enjoy Russian opera. That's really beautiful, and I love Monteverdi as well, and pretty much anything with Verdi. I haven't run into a Verdi I don't like yet.
How did you find out about K-pop and want to combine that with opera?
Well, I found out about K-pop because oddly enough, about the same time I discovered opera, I found this, I was trying to find this song called Always You, but I was looking for it, the song I was looking for is by a saxophone player, but I found this song by this weird Asian group called Always You, and I was like, what is this? So I clicked on it, and I fell in love with the visuals. I fell in love with the choreography, and I was like, this is amazing. This is like what opera should be. It has amazing choreography. It has really cool sets. It's very edgy, very unique. I really like this. And I watched the video once and forgot about it for about a year. My life was kind of crazy and mixed up. So about a year later, I decided to listen to that video again, and it was this band called Astro BTS. And I was like, oh, this is a kind of cool band. I really like this.
People really like this as we came to find out. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of people like this band. And
they
so
ended up at the Grammys this year. So yeah, I'd say
totally deserved it. I mean, they're amazing. And so I just started watching more and more of their videos. I love their music, for one thing. I fell in love with their style. It's incredible, but I really was drawn to their choreography and their set design. And so I was like basically thinking about this, and a lot of what I do is I love doing fusion things. I love doing fusion cooking. I love doing fusion art. And I thought, what if you did fusion music? And so what I would like to eventually do with my musical career is I would like to combine opera with like K-pop style with choreography and the freshness of the music, because I love opera, but most people are not going to sit down and watch 3 hours of people on a stage singing. And I mean, I love that because I love opera. But if we want to make this a medium of art going to continue on, it's got to get a bit of a facelift, and not just visually. I mean, it's amazing music, but it has so much potential that can be moved forward. And it's like listening, I also have got this thing for like 70s rock and 80s rock, and I definitely belong to Prince, and that's all right. And it's like listening to Prince and these different rock stars from the 80s, you can listen to their music, and there's so much influence that you can see there's all of this potential crossover between their styles and opera, which sounds totally crazy and bizarre because you're going, Prince and Verdi should never mix. But if you listen to them, there are songs that you can definitely have a crossover, not just with style, but also with lyrics. And I mean, it's just, there's so much potential for fusion there. I think it's going to be really cool to see how it turns out.
Yes, it will be. And then also I'm going to include a link to your Vise d'Arte. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it well. Italian is not my strong suit, but you made a lovely video with pictures and lyrics in English so that people can know what it says on YouTube. And the link will be below this video so people can watch that. And then I understand you're working on a new version of what's your new?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing one on Nessun Dorma from Puccini's Turandot.
Yes, and that one looks really cool too. So
yeah, that one I'm kind of excited.
modern setting, cool costuming. Yeah, it looks really fun. So going to be
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing that. And then your books are available on Amazon.com under Be Hope. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and then you're also the co-host of the Get to the Gate Summer Camp, one of
Yes.
the primary contributors each year.
Yeah, that's
Love your
actually where
audio.
the Dark Pig came from. I made it for the Comic Con because it is
Exactly.
the only opera song that made it in Stargate.
It is, and it fit into Dr. Rush's life in such a timely manner.
It was the perfect introduction for him. I mean, it was incredible. They couldn't have picked a better
Yeah,
one if they tried.
exactly. So, going to put all those links in the description. And thank you so much for doing this interview. I'm sure people are going to enjoy it. Do you have any final words for people that would be looking into having an art music career or just starting that journey? Any ideas, tips?
Yeah. I think basically just it's not really something that there's any set of rules for, but once you find your thing, you're gonna know what it is. And just to follow that organically and don't try to force it, just follow where it goes. And it's gonna be a crazy ride and it's not going to be easy all of the time, but it's going to be rewarding, you know? And if it were easy, not everybody would do it. So I think that's part of what makes it so wonderful is the challenge of it and getting through the things that are difficult and making things that are beautiful that help people through their everyday lives. I think that's the most important thing is just knowing that what you're doing makes a difference.
Yes. So basically, the courage to make a difference.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you so much. This is going to be a great interview, and thank you for your time. And then also, just so everyone knows, there are links below to please support this convention and the guests who are featured, as well as the Coronavirus Fund that we
Yeah.
are doing here for those in quarantine. It provides meals here in America, Japan, and worldwide. You can click the link directly below this video to support that. And there's also a Patreon fund and also tickets that can be purchased right below this video.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everybody.